Everybody, and welcome to the planning board meeting of August 14, 2013. Tonight in attendance, we have Bob Watts, myself, I'm Harry Locatilia, Tilly Evangelista, Howard Snyder is our town planner, and without any further ado, meeting is called to order at 7:15 PM. Okay. And on the agenda, we have approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Watts.
pending conversation, discussion, I move we accept the minutes as written.
Accept the minutes of July 24th, 2013, as written. Is there a second for
Second.
discussion? Seconded by Tilly. Discussion?
I received a comment from Tilly
Uh-huh.
regarding a question if it was a motion or a unanimous consent or something.
Where are we, Tilly? We got a page?
13.
Page
Page
13. And I haven't gone back and reviewed the video to see exactly what the wording was. So the minutes can be approved, but that revision isn't in there for you to hand out.
Well, there's no consensus
Here's Christopher.
for special permits, period.
Let's see.
And I felt it was a vote.
Chris.
Regular
It was
vote.
right, but it was a motion to.
Hey, stranger.
Wasn't, just as a motion of the record, Christopher Rich arrives at 7:16. Welcome, brother.
How you doing, Skinny?
PM. Chris, not to rush you along or anything, we're in the middle of approval of the minutes of July 24th, 2013. Bob made a motion to approve, Tilly seconded. We're just discussing something that's on, did you say page 13, Tilly?
Yeah,
And if it was a
What line are
motion,
we
I
looking
don't
at?
have the exact wording in the minutes for approval, so.
yeah.
What line are we looking at? I'm sorry?
617.
Ms. Locke asked the board if they feel they need to have a
And
road
it was in
profile. for intent.
parentheses.
And the consensus was no.
Yeah. So
Did I call that by unanimous consent, or what did I do there?
I don't know, but Howard is going to look at the tape.
How we're gonna check the tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
not
how about we,
all
how about we let Howard check the tape and, correct if needed, or something to that effect. That work for you?
Sure.
Hold on.
Chris, that all right with you? Any other corrections to you?
And also what I was telling Howard is, there's no consensus vote for special permits. There's no such animal. Yeah.
Well,
In fact, I checked,
Consensus votes aren't binding anyways. Why would you say there's no such thing as a consensus vote?
it's not what? What'd you say?
Consensus vote's not binding.
it's just a feeling of the board.
It's an informational vote.
Well, there isn't any
Feeling of the
such
board.
process for the 40A. There's nothing in there, because I
It's
checked
not in
because.
anything.
Yeah, it's
A
just
consensus vote is not in anything.
a
It's a
poll,
procedural,
it's a
it's
straw
a
poll.
procedural thing.
Yeah.
That we just use it to let the applicant get an idea of where they're going so they don't waste their time.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
We'll see what
Yeah.
the DVD says. Any other specific corrections?
That was basically it. I mean, as usual, they were very good.
Wendy's getting good. No, she's not even here to hear us complimented.
We could talk about her, huh?
Yes.
Bob, did you have anything?
Oh, she's keeping her head above
Since she's-
water.
Yes, since she's not here, let's say nice things.
Yeah, we'll try to.
Yeah, but she will see the videos.
No, that's
All
true,
right,
that's
all
true, so.
No, I have no comments.
Chris, were you here? Were you here for these minutes?
No.
Okay, so you'll be abstaining anyway.
Yes.
With that being said, all in favor of approving the July 24th, 2013 minutes as written and to be corrected by Howard according to the DVD?
Well, I want to wait to see what he's got. to tell you the
Sure.
truth. He's gonna check it over. So I-
Okay, so Bob, you want to withdraw that?
Yes,
And we'll, you want to change that to a motion to wait until the next meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll second that.
Bob withdraws the motion and moves to postpone the minutes approval until the next meeting. Is that what you were going for, Bob?
exactly.
Okay.
Until the issue's resolved.
Till the next meeting. Till you're seconding that?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And Chris, did I hear you abstain?
You did.
Okay, good. And we have an updated agenda. Are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at? Okay, you seem to be. Right? Okay, good. Good. Yeah, if you have this bullet point, you're good. Right, good. Howard, you want to walk us through some of the correspondence that you're dealing with there, that you have there?
The first one is important. Town of Georgetown, the zoning board of appeals gave notice to the town departments and the planning board of a hearing and application, special permit alteration or extension in pre-existing lawful non-conforming use and structure, use variance and modification to variance decisions in water resource special permit for Dunkin' Donuts Plaza.
Huh.
So, they're gonna be cleaning up everything they need to do with the zoning board of appeals and then coming to us for a site.
Great, and when is that hearing? What is that?
It's September 3rd.
September 3rd?
Any idea what they're doing there?
He wants to clean up the site, clean up all the special permits that were done, get everything right up for conforming. And then he wants to add some parking so he can better lease out one of his available spaces, interior.
He wants to do,
He wants to clean up the back
Add some
turnaround area,
parking?
add some parking.
it's septic too, he's gonna approve that.
Yeah, he's gonna.
I'm presuming the ZBA grants that special permit, then it'll come to us for site plan approval?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, they've got 4 different applications before them that they need to clear.
Okay, so, once that's all, it makes its way through the ZBA, then it'll come to the planning board for site plan. What's going on in Newbury there?
Finding for relief,
ZBA?
the ZBA. 2 notices from the town of Raleigh. They were just some information. They're all far from Georgetown.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But the next one of that's important is a letter from Alan P. Olson, who sent a letter to the chairman of the planning board regarding his opinion on the Lisa Lane sub OSRD application.
Okay, and because it's a letter that concerns an open hearing right now, we're gonna hold off, and you're gonna read that as soon as we open that hearing, or reopen that hearing. When's the continuation of that?
It'll be on the 28th.
Letter from A. Olson?
And included in your packet,
Re,
the letter was also sent to the applicant's legal counsel.
that's good.
So an email from her to me, because she forwarded it to me also. And just so everybody knows, here's 16-2. This is the Lisa Lane OSRD application property. And this is Olson's property right here.
Mhm. The yellow?
Highlighted.
He's a direct abutter.
Yes.
Understood. And the spot, the 16 floor is
He's
rec land, right?
He's noting
Municipal land.
that
It's not
we have
conservation
something,
land, even though it's green. It's rec
something in
land,
our subdivision regs that,
right?
is that true? Did you check that subdivision regs to see?
I think the best thing that we can do, because we're not in a hearing right now.
I know, I'm talking about process. He's questioning our subdivision regs. So I wanna know, is there anything in there that he's relating to? Is that true, in other words? Because I wasn't aware of what he was writing.
There's
I
a.
think you will find, if I may, Howard, what Mr. Olson is citing is that he's landlocked. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you cannot legally landlock anyone. They obtain by law what they call an easement by prescription.
Uh-huh.
They have to be able to get to and from their land.
Can I,
But
can
does
I,
our
that-
subdivision
may
regs-
Mr. Chairman, if I may continue. This should be-
everyone on the board, can I point out that right now, you are really close to deliberating
Would you let me
about.
finish my statement, please? This needs to be put on the list, the items to be discussed at the next hearing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if
Thank you
that
very
needs to
much.
be in motion
Yeah.
form, then,
I don't believe that needs to be a motion.
It'll be included in the packet.
yeah,
certainly
and it should be
discussed.
read, it should be read.
Absolutely.
at the
But my
beginning.
question
the-
is, do our subdivision regs today address the issue that he is referring to?
Why don't
Not
we-
particularly
Why don't we
his
be prepared?
problem.
Let's be proactive and have the answer for that.
I'll have the answer at the next
That's what I'm
meeting.
looking for.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
I can't picture Howard not having that answer for you.
Okay.
That way
So,
we don't have to discuss it.
That's what I'm looking for.
that's good, great
You can
idea.
put your
Don't wanna
Valium pill
deliberate.
away.
I don't wanna deliberate outside of a hearing. I'm not gonna poison
That's
pill.
all I wanted to say.
No
you
poison
keep-
pills, please.
Well, you keep adding on to it, like you're saying so much. You're the one that's bringing in.
I'm pointing out that it would be a violation of the open meeting law.
We
to
know that very
deliberate.
well. We know that. That's why we're saying it the way we are.
Also in the correspondence was a letter from an attorney, Arsenault, regarding his client, Frank Getchell, trustee of Frank Getchell Realty Trust. They would like us to initiate a review for Harmony Lane for recommendations to acceptance at town meeting as a public way.
Let me ask this question. On his application, did he state that he expected this to be an accepted street by, an accepted road by the town?
I can look into it.
So this is for Harmony Lane?
Yeah.
Harmony Lane.
So in receiving the letter, I'll start the review process to see if it can even start as being considered for street acceptance.
Is that Mr. Arsenal? Oh, okay,
Martin
that's this one.
Arsenault.
Martin Arsenal.
Also received was a preliminary plan review report, number P-1 from Graham Associates regarding the Lisa Lane application.
Give me that one more time, Howard. I'm sorry, I was vegging there.
H.L. Graham and Associates sent the planning board a preliminary plan review report.
Oh, for
dated
Lisa.
August 6th, for Lisa Lane OSRD.
Great.
So that'll be
So
another topic. at
we'll
the-
be able to review that before the continuation of the hearing, which is on
The 28th.
the 28th.
And it's even hope, and it was discussed at the last public hearing for Lisa Lane, that this report would also have a response from the applicant's engineer.
Great.
So they both can be addressed
That
at
might
the
work out.
28th. That's why it was
Fabulous.
set out so far. Vouchers?
Someone feel like making a motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I can find them.
Yeah. I think you're looking at a total of $7,364.43.
Oh, see, that's such a
Did
minuscule
you
amount. I
put
wanna
in
look at
there
it
my
carefully.
comment, or did we get that last week? I think we got it last week.
Right up at the front?
Your comments
With a
under the
member report?
member of public.
Or-
Oh, way down there. Okay.
So are you making that motion to approve the vouchers?
So many terms.
So that we can discuss it? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a second for approving the vouchers?
Second.
Second by Tilly. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Rich.
and,
Two MVPCs and an
town
Eagle.
planner enlighten us on the two huge invoices from Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, just Reader's Digest version of the $4,000+ in.
Sure. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission assesses each municipality annually. Ours in Georgetown for this fiscal year is 2,705. And those go towards assistance in preparation of planning reports, traffic impact analysis, and things that come on an annual basis. And it also goes towards things such as the technical hours that we get each year.
TAs.
So in itself, for $2,700, we get 35 hours, so
Mapping
it's,
hours, assistance
and it's
hours.
also serves, when I go to commissioners meeting, I'm sure it goes towards the food, but it also goes towards inviting the guests and the documents that were prepared and everything else, so.
Yeah, speakers.
They don't have food like the IRS parties have food, do they?
Oh, no, they have pretty good stuff.
They party like the Secret Service.
No liquor.
No, just the opposite. The IRS was spending gazillions of dollars on food.
Sometimes you get a bagel if you're
$75
lucky.
donuts, yeah, right.
If
They
you're lucky, you
good
get a bagel.
pizzas.
The,
Is
Let
that,
the record
did we,
show that Tim Howard arrives,
did we pay that last year, though? I was, thought the 6,000
7:30.
clicked
How do
to
they,
me.
Hi,
do they
Tim.
have a, what is their process of assessing?
the annual assessment, it has usually gone directly to Jackie, but at the last town meeting, the line item in our budget is the third line item. So we're just carrying it, and we have the money for it.
Okay.
So instead of the
Because we,
payment coming from the,
because we turned back
Oh,
6,000,
so
right?
that was taken out
That-
of one
for last year?
area of the town budgets and put in ours?
exactly.
My goodness. how
but we get
play
the
with
money
numbers,
as
isn't it?
well, so.
Yeah, that's what accountants do.
The charge for 4,329 is for the digital pictometry
And Harry's map.
And my,
for my map and pictometry. So, and that was a line item for last year, and I got it encumbered, so it's
Yeah,
coming out of last
you're holding
year's
it from
budget.
last year's budget,
There's
right?
plenty of money. So.
and what was the
Advertising.
advertisement? Which one
For
was that
this
one?
legal ad for Soul and Wind public hearing by the Battle House.
So is that both weeks? The two times?
Yes.
And we still have yet to see, we still have yet to see the one for medical marijuana, right? We haven't seen that bill?
That's been
That's already
advertised,
been
but we haven't
advertised. We haven't gotten the bill
yet.
yet, so we'll be looking at something like that. Okay. Tim, just to bring you up to speed, we sort of have a motion on the floor. I think you heard most of it, most of the discussion about it. There was a motion, Chris made a motion to approve the vouchers, $7,364.47. Tilly seconded it. You were walking in just as we were discussing it. You
Okay,
feel comfortable with voting on it, or?
sure.
Okay. I'm gonna, if anybody has any more questions about the vouchers? All in favor of approving the vouchers as?
Aye.
No? That was an aye, right, Tilly?
Yep.
Motion carries. 5 to 0, unanimously. Great. Good stuff.
7:32, do you wanna?
Well, there's 5 of us here, and we've done the vouchers. I think it's appropriate time to open the public hearing. This is the continuation of the site plan review, reopening of the site plan review for 124 Tenny Street, because that's a reopening. And Howard, at the same time, because we're gonna join these together, Howard, would you read the public notice for the special permit for 124 Tenny Street as it was noticed in the paper?
In accordance with provisions of section 165-83 of the Code of the Town of Georgetown, the Georgetown Planning Board will hold a public hearing on August 14th in the third floor meeting room at Georgetown Memorial Town Hall, 7 p.m., 1 Library Street, to consider Tom Ford's application for a special permit regarding a proposed development consisting of a 3,000 square foot office building and a 4,600 square foot warehouse/repair facility, along with associated site improvements at 124 Tenny Street, Georgetown, Mass. 01833. Special permit is for more than one building to be erected or placed on a lot. The lot is property located in the light industrial IB zone district and as described as Assessor's Map 16, Lot 44, and as at the Registry of Deeds, Book 29384 and page 89. Copy of the application and plan is on file at the Georgetown Planning Office. It may be inspected Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Any person interested or wishing to be heard regarding this application should appear either in person by agent or by attorney at the time and place designated.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you very much. So, what we have here, just for, to review, is we opened the site plan hearing for 124 Tenny at our last meeting, but we took absolutely no information because we discovered the fact that this was also a special permit hearing that needed to be held. And so we advertised it. It's all been done, notice to the abutters, et cetera. Now we're all proper, and we'll bifurcate the two of these together, and we can move on.
Do you
And
need a
there's-
motion to join you two?
it might be, it wouldn't be inappropriate, Chris.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Chris
Without
Rich
objection from the applicant. Just makes things quicker.
to bifurcate.
No, bifurcate needs to do
But-
it separately.
No,
Combine.
to combine.
Create a splitter.
Right, we need to combine.
Yeah.
To combine the hearings together. And is there a second?
Second.
Tim? Seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Great. Now we can finally move on.
Mr. Chairman, did we get an application that we could look at
Howard?
of the site approval? Was there an application?
That was distributed previously.
Yeah, we had all of that.
We have it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And these are the plans and everything, and
It's actually distributed at the meeting prior to the last.
right, so that we could like
Oh,
take a peek
geez.
at it and. You wanna check out the, well, well, why don't we do this? So why don't we have the applicant and the applicant's engineer just give us a little description about what it is you'd like to do.
Right.
Thank you.
Glad to do that. I'll start if it's all right. I'm Tom Ford, and I own 124 Tenny Street, which is the subject of tonight's meeting. I also own 118 Tenny Street, which is immediately adjacent, which I have owned since about the mid-'80s or late '80s, and have worked my construction business out of that from that time on. What you're going to be seeing here tonight is an application for 2 buildings on 1 lot. I am currently in the back building on 118 Tenny Street in about 2,500 square feet, and I'd like to have a separate office warehouse complex just for myself out front. The reason for this is sort of obvious. I have a construction company that does civil and environmental construction, so we have what you would expect, bulldozers and backhoes and that kind of thing. And although we don't have a full-time mechanic, we do light repairs, and we also do sort of a warehouse function. And when, as it is right now, they're immediately adjacent to the office, and you can hear it, and you can occasionally smell it, and I would like to have a slightly remote building and an office building to the front of that. This works well twice. It works well in that it would help me operationally and would help me attract a better engineer class to the office piece. But moreover, you can see from the aerial that we're an industrial zone that transitions to a residential zone. I'm 1644 in that previous plan. And the next building is also a very large woodworkers warehouse, 1645A. But 1645 is actually a residential house out front with a sort of a mid-size industrial building behind it. It's probably personal use or something. And as you go further, it's all residential. And I
There's the
think
lot
that,
line right there. Industrial,
Mhm.
residential.
So the residential starts with 1646.
although 1645 is clearly a residential home. But I don't, you know.
Must be pre-existing then, right?
Pre-existing, as was mine, because some of you will remember, long ago
Yeah.
in far away, Sandy Baker,
Right.
right? And then
Yep.
after her, it was the towing company, and I always have trouble, but it's David Showers. So I have been looking to buy it forever, and tried with Sandy, but was unsuccessful. David got in front of me, and when he was done with it, I took
Is that the
it.
lot that got treed in front of it?
It is. And there was a reason for that, because recall now, I'm 1643B, 118 Tenny Street.
Mhm.
And when I bought that, we didn't have an immediate plan for the development of it, to be honest. I always knew I wanted to relocate my business there. But there was always been a problem with that little curve and you can't see it from this plan, but the topo. And people that come around that little curve too fast are on top of me as I exit mine, and we're trucks sometimes. So what I did was cleared it, re-sloped it, took the hill off, and made a sight distance that didn't previously exist.
You were fixing your sight line
I was fixing the sight line.
coming
And-
from the other side.
And it wasn't just my side, I mean, it was every,
Yeah.
you hit my truck, you also, you're in your car. But, and then we landscaped it, so I didn't think that was a terrifically bad
I
thing to
wasn't
do.
giving a negative comment. I just wanted to make sure that was the lot that I'm,
It is exactly the lot you're thinking
Yeah.
of, and it was my work, and I didn't seek a permit for it. But what I have before you, you can see the back building, the prototype is actually, there's two buildings on one lot. That back building is where I am on the far end of that. There's a tenant on the near end where the trailer trucks are. That tenant would like to have the entire building, and I would like to accommodate him.
That's why I think you had a hearing before, didn't you?
I had a hearing long ago and far away, because if you'll recall, the reason, when I bought the front building alone, that was a welding shop. And Westinghouse Environmental leased the front building from me. And very quickly, they needed warehouse space. And we came to you and asked for two buildings on one lot.
Zoning board.
Yes,
You went that,
Yes.
yeah, that was changed back to the planning board.
two buildings on one lot.
Yeah.
But this is a good site to talk about this, context-wise. I guess it's arguable. The wood shop's a very quiet use. It's very quiet. And there's not even a
Is this the
lot of
wood shop?
employees. No, the bigger building, the very big building, yes.
So where are you going to put the new building?
The new buildings will be, one will be, almost the same setback as the little building on 118, but with an orientation sort of more parallel to the road, slightly more parallel to the road.
Maybe we could see
Yeah,
up there
yeah,
on
we
the,
can- yeah,
on the
exactly.
plan.
What am I doing?
Colored site plan will help.
And did I introduce Eric?
No.
I apologize again. Eric Highland, Engineering Alliance, and we'll do the hard stuff.
Harland?
Hayland,
Hayland.
H-E-Y-L-A-N-D.
H-E-Y-L-A-N-D. We have to call that out because we don't have our, somebody take.
So can I get up and point it out a little bit?
Go ahead, please, Mr. Harland.
That was a good introduction there to get the global visual. So the buildings that I understand, this is the warehouse building that we're discussing, and this is the existing office building here. So the proposed lot's about 75,000 square feet, fronts on Tenny here, and the two buildings that are shown here in kind of this brown color are the proposed buildings. I think there were some old buildings that have been demolished out back, and the site plan shows an old wood frame house that are now gone, been cleared away for this new development work. The plan is basically to have separate parking areas for each of those buildings. As you enter the site, you would come in and take this left where we have 5 spaces for this office building, which is this plan here. I don't know if anyone's seen a detail of that, but it's basically a gable style, one-level slab building.
So the gables face the road?
Yeah, this would be the front, not necessarily actually facing Tenny.
So that's our street profile. You look,
Yes,
when you drive by,
street
that's what you'll
profile,
see.
right. And then what you see here on this view below, that would be this view from Tenny, and then behind that is the warehouse building. So there was a comment that came across regarding whether or not you could see that back building. I don't think there'll be a lot of visual opportunity to see that back building there, probably a little bit, but. So the parking will continue back, and you take another left into the front of this warehouse building where there's a couple of garage doors for loading bays, one into the front right corner here, then around to the back in this corner. And we do also have a dashed line here that's going to show a future expansion that's about 2,400 square feet. What you're looking at right here is a building that's 4,800 square feet, which is considered the phase 1, and then that phase 2 would be another 2,400 square feet. Both of those would be buildings that are on slab. As far as the utility goes, it is serviced with town water, which will come off of Tenny Street to service both buildings. Obviously, there's a septic system that we've located. There's some testing out here. The soils are very good. They're well draining. They're sand, they're gravel, so we have a less than a 2-minute perk rate on those soils. And the drainage facilities, each building will have its own infiltration basin system. It's basically an underground chamber, plastic chamber system that will take any of the runoff from the pavement surface and also from the actual buildings here. We do show a rooftop runoff dry well system. So both of these buildings will have a perimeter drain around it that will collect rooftop runoff and route it into the dry well systems. And apart from that, we did receive a letter this morning from Mary Graham's office. We did run through kind of those comments. There's a couple on there I think the planning board might want to just take a quick peek at, and I'll just run through what they were.
A copy of Larry Graham's review letter and the response letter is included in your supplemental package.
And we received this just today?
Today, yeah.
There's a number of technical items that we begin to address.
Yeah,
But
Usually what we do, if we don't have it a week in advance, we don't usually discuss it.
if I may just bring up just a few points that might help us a little bit in design of the
Well, if I could interrupt you, just to make sure, we're in a unique position here, there's a special permit, I don't think this board's ever had to do this except for one other time. Right now, and I know you're not gonna like it, but I'm gonna look for a consensus of the board here, because one of the things this special permit deals with is 2 buildings on a lot. And at this point, if at least 4 out of 5 of us are not in favor of 2 buildings on a lot, we're just wasting our time and the applicant's time. So I'm gonna poll you to see if you have any objection to 2 buildings on a lot. Bob?
I have no objection.
Good?
No.
Chris?
None.
Okay, I don't either. Tilly?
No.
Good, okay, moving on. Thank you.
clarifying that.
Yeah, well,
If it were residential and it was 2 houses, that's
Yeah,
another story, but
that's
this is
right.
industrial.
But altogether, you're gonna wind up with not 2, but what, 4 buildings on there?
No, this
It's
will
a
still
separate
be
lot.
2.
It's a separate lot.
That'll be it?
Yeah, these are on a separate lot.
Oh, I see.
yeah, it's
So
actually
the
a
lot,
distinct lot.
what's shaded in
I
green, this
gotcha.
is the lot line.
Okay.
They're not gonna take those down, they're just gonna use them
Hmm.
separate.
Good.
So just a couple of the comments that I think the planning board might want to weigh in on regarding the architectural design, the way this is currently laid out. It talks about the office building being in the front of the warehouse, and there's a comment about how much it will shield this warehouse building in the back. Now, I don't think we can say entirely that you're never gonna see that building. From Tenny Street.
If I
This is
could
number
ask you,
3. This is comment number 3, which is on page 2. Says the proposed buildings are properly located on the site, the office building located in the front portion of the site, and architecturally styled in the appearance of dwelling, shields to some extent the 2-story warehouse building in the back. I don't believe that's 2-story, is it?
No, it's a single story, but it's.
It's high,
It's
right?
high, it's 22, 24 feet, after the truss, so it's higher.
So that was just a comment that they made, maybe for the planning board to consider.
Because of-
The next one that I noted here is number 5 comment regarding the overhead doors that I just pointed out in the southeast, he's calling the southeast corner of the warehouse building. He's questioning, is it necessary in that location? Could it be changed to the northeasterly end of the building? This
Eric,
would-
can I ask you where the north arrow is?
Right here.
Okay, gotcha, all right,
So the north is up. this
okay,
way.
great.
So it says this would eliminate the front-facing industrial-style door, which, I think he's referring to this door right here. So,
It is. Can I take a pass at that?
yeah.
Yeah, it was it was shown wrong, it was shown as like a 10 by 12 foot door. That is the only door that is sort of like a junior loading dock door. We have, the guys call the pizza truck, which is a small enclosed van, and the purpose of it is to pull the plate compactor, the steam cleaner, those kind of things off and into the back of the vehicle. That truck and that truck alone would be marginally viewable from the street. But that's the rest of that building pad and the environs around it are at grade. So that's the only place we did sort of this kind of height loading dock door. So it really wants to be there, to be honest, because the rest of the site is graded around that.
Do you have a picture of that, Ray?
Not a, well. I guess
Yeah,
we
you
could-
can, you
we
can
could
see it
right
down
here.
there, yeah.
This would be it. This is a
But-
bird's eye view.
It looks to me like you've got some extensive planting going on here.
Yes.
And
We did that on
the line of
purpose.
sight, are you actually gonna see that from the street with the plantings that you have proposed here?
I don't think so, and also if you do the scale, you're back 150 feet or something. And being completely honest with you, we don't do a junky building anyway. That's a Butler building. It will look, get a hint of it, that would be surprising, and it will be the same caliber as the one out front. It's an industrial building, but it certainly belongs in an industrial zoning, and it's not modern, it's not gonna be blue and white, it's gonna be a deep green to go with the building. And
What's it gonna be made out of again?
it's a steel building.
Steel building.
You know, it's a.
They're not too attractive.
A Butler building. They're not, but they're the I don't know, they're the patina of the neighborhood there. And as you're driving down the road, you're gonna hit my two buildings that have sort of a fair amount of landscape in front of them. You know, the new one, which I think has some real design going on, with some stone, shingles, and clapboards, and the brick one, which was sort of pre-existing.
Yeah, I'd like to go on the site to get a better idea.
You making a motion to it?
I make a motion that we have a site walk.
Motion by Tilly to hold a site walk. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Should we toss some dates out there, or what were you thinking, Tilly?
As soon as possible, I would say. She come around to us.
Not everybody at once, no.
My weekends are booked for the rest of the summer.
Have it early.
That time of year.
Yeah.
I'm quite familiar with the lot.
I'm well pleased to do individual site walks if it accommodates.
I was just gonna say, how would you feel about individual members coming out when they can, at their convenience, and just, maybe wandering around with a plan in their hand and then
Are you
going
there
back
all
to
the
their
time?
car?
I'm there about 60% of the time, so.
Is it
you know,
accessible? I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember when
absolutely.
Dave had it, there was a big fence.
Absolutely, no, and you'll still find the hint of that fence, but,
Yeah.
it's
You
hardly-
sort of get around it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
When are you there? I could probably do it tomorrow if I'm the only one going.
How about if I give you my office phone, and with just a little bit of notice, I'll get back there.
Okay.
It's 978-352.
You're on TV.
That's his office.
Okay, okay, fine.
That's your office phone.
Maybe customers will be calling.
Yes, exactly.
That's
It could be
it.
advertised.
If anybody wants to call him, they'll get his office phone number out of the book.
You need a seawall,
Okay.
if you need a landfill cap. 978-352-5606.
5606?
Seawall, that's something we need here in Georgetown.
I assume Tilly, you're gonna withdraw your motion? Tilly withdraws the motion?
Fine.
I'm glad whenever it works for you, it's easy enough. Yeah.
Oh, we'd have to do a date. and
Are you
time
there
certain.
5 days a week and stuff? The rest of them?
It's a construction company, so I'm often on the sites a little bit too, but if you give me just an hour's notice, I can get
Yeah.
back there. Or I can have Susan take you for a walk, it'll be fine.
Okay.
I'm noticing, you had mentioned the landscaping, we were talking about it. Larry seems to have pointed out in number 9, and I hate this, I hate reading for the first time comments detailed comments from people at a meeting for the first time, but
I
he
know.
seems to be pointing out that the
We didn't pick up the species.
the landscaping.
It was just about the species, I think. We've identified where the real trees are going and stuff.
We'll have a list of species.
We can do that.
Got a list?
I have, if you go up there, you'll see Tilly soon enough. If you go up there, I had purple plum was sort of the species, and half of them died this year for reasons unknown, so it might be pear trees or something. But typically what I do is I see what works and swap off a little.
That's
If you
good.
jump back a couple, there's a comment number 7 here that I thought was a little confusing to read regarding the building once again. Could the proposed shed roof at the southwesterly front corner of the warehouse building be carried all the way across the face of the building to break up the 2-story vertical scale of the building? My understanding, this is a pitched, one flat pitched roof.
This
the
pitches to the
back.
back, and it pitches a 1/2 inch in 12, so it's just barely, looks like a flat roof if you.
So I don't know what the shed roof,
This is small,
if it can be carried across the face. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might know what it is. Yeah, it's this right here. This right here.
yes.
So this is an entry, right? So
That's,
he's suggesting this get carried over?
So like an awning over the
Where your
entry?
stairs are, right?
it's an awning over where the guys go in, because the guys
Right.
that work in
Stairs.
that part, nobody really works in there, but the guys that are meeting in there to get their tools and stuff go in through that door, so they're not in the other office. And frankly, the awning was an afterthought, to be honest. I don't see, the scale of this building is approximately 1/2, it's 2/3, I guess, a little less than 2/3 of that building.
It's 22 feet, what you said, it's about 22 feet high?
Yeah, yeah. And if you look at that building, you're not gonna be too far off. It's the same width, I think, 60 by 80, that's 60 by 120.
The site is fairly flat, right, from Tenny Street?
Elevation's about
Just to give you an idea, Tilly, it's about the same size as my house, only
5 feet
a
higher
third.
maybe? The slab's about 5 feet, 8 feet higher than Tenny. It's just fairly flat, you're right. It would appear to be somewhat flat.
It does grow up as you're going back towards the other thing, though. It rises up away from the street.
Do you understand what Larry had said there? I don't get it.
Well, the board will have more time to digest it.
Yeah, I think we need to look at
It
it.
was just received today, so
I'm just pointing it out, saying
Yeah.
that you just wanna,
I'm not terribly concerned about that. I don't think 22 feet is,
No.
Yeah, and it'll
Scary
give
high.
the applicant a chance
okay.
to get back. And Larry's calling for some other things. He's pulling out site distance off the center line off to Tenny Street and number 14. A whole number of things that he's
see,
looking
there are
for.
windows in
I'm
22.
just trying to point,
I
there were
know.
some technical items that we are going to
Was it only
address.
15? Was that it? 15 is the end of it?
Yeah, I don't
Check
know
the
if
other
this was
side,
an odd
15
end, I
it
didn't
goes
know
to
if that
E.
was the end, just kinda ended.
Oh, it goes to E. Okay. Oh, yeah.
It goes to
Okay.
which one? What
E,
number?
15E, isn't there?
Yeah, G, goes to G.
G.
There's actually
Right.
3 on the back of that.
That's it, yeah, so we have the entire line.
So we're gonna have the benefit of,
But I think the overall, the review process, I think, is a little bit ahead, which is good, because we were delayed. I agree with the chairman, it's gonna be difficult getting in too much of the details of it, but you're addressing some of the items, and there's gonna be plenty of time to be able to get things resolved before the next meeting. So-
Yeah, just for clarification, like he points out, there's no dumpster shown in the plan. I don't believe is one that's needed by the applicant, however, is that something that's required? So those are things that,
He was asking about a dumpster pad and perimeter fencing. We do cameras, so we don't do perimeter fencing
I did,
and night lighting.
not having the application, what about waste and things like that? Did you pay attention to that? Is there gonna be a maintenance program? I mean, you're gonna repair trucks?
Tom would speak.
We don't have a full-time mechanic, and we do the things that DOT requires of us, which is the circle walk and the lights and all that. But we don't do any heavy, anybody capable of doing that.
I think
You
what
change the
Tilly's
oil.
concern is that if you're going to store oil or anything like that
Now,
on the
big-
property, it's gotta be in a concrete contained area.
permitted and all that, absolutely. And the one thing I do know that I didn't know when we started this is because we have at-grade access into the warehouse, that we need to slope the floor, have a floor drain, have a pickup point, have it vented, have it closed, and all of it above.
Yeah.
And we'll have all that.
Floor drain into a sealed tank, into a
Yes,
tank.
yeah, that gets pumped by Clean Harbors and stuff, but that's fine.
you're a small waste generating facility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently, we
And
are.
going
Or
with
all that stuff, right?
You and I briefly talked about the fact that you're in a water resource district, and some of that would come under the review and control of the zoning board through that, but there's a sense that through our discussion, am I explaining it to you that your intended use of the property wouldn't impose the requirement for restrictions from the zoning board for the water resource district?
No,
None of those uses, right?
There's 5, I think, of
Right,
the
car
nuisance.
wash or storage of oil, gas.
Hazardous materials.
Hazardous materials, right, so none of those would be.
And what we do for a living, half of our business is environmental restoration. We don't do any emergency response, we do restoration. So if anything, we're sort of hypersensitive to that.
Well, that, you know, we have to get it into like the conditions, you know, to follow whatever it is.
As long as it doesn't put me out of business, I'm fine with that.
We're not doing that.
Okay, not put him out of business.
Wouldn't he have to go to the zoning board for the undersized lot?
It's existing non-conforming lot.
But it was existing as a residential lot. That house you knocked down, I know the woman that lived there.
Where is it
Sandy
non-conforming?
Baker, right?
Yeah.
Where is it non-conforming? Which part of it?
It's-
80,000 square feet is the required in this zoning district, and we have about 75,000 square feet.
I don't think we can grant relief from zoning.
No.
No, that would have to be
That's-
the ZBA.
So you'd need
But I
to
think
do
it's
it.
existing non-conforming.
It's existing as a residential though, once you
No,
change.
it's
Did
in
you,
the other zone.
can I,
Yeah, it was residential.
rather than us, chatting about it, Howard, would you please get a statement from the building inspector as to whether, by his determination, it is or is not, pre-existing non-conforming? And that'll sort of resolve it, because
Yeah,
we can argue
he
about it all
makes the
night,
call.
but he'll resolve it,
And
right?
check that-
He's the final word.
Good plan.
Decision that
I'm just,
ZBA decision.
I understand Dave used it
With
as
a
a
variance.
tow storage yard, but he had a special
He had
permit to
special
use
permit.
it that way.
Yeah.
So
That
we've already
doesn't
gone
transfer
through
to
that,
you.
I think.
No, that's,
So you
and
still
he's
may
already-
have to deal with the zoning board.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I won't say anything.
How do you like the smell of that trucking company back there? They haul the sewage stuff from Ipswich or wherever, Gloucester. Cause I live up on Jewett Street and I drive by there in the summer, and Sam's Trucking, I think, is the,
Unless,
go into Industrial Way there.
if we're speaking candidly, I'm far less concerned with that than the giant concrete crushing operation that showed up overnight that you didn't hear about, that I didn't hear
Oh,
about.
I
Might wanna take a look at that. It's a state permit, he said he needed no permits from you, and he's got a giant trucking operation in and out, and there's,
Who's that?
Neptune?
no, Caruso McGovern.
oh, yeah.
Well,
You might want, I mean, the scale of it, we've talked
past
about.
experience with Mr. Caruso, sometimes he gets confused as to what he's entitled to do and what he's not entitled
What
to
a
do.
diplomatic.
That stink, that's pretty bad in there from Sam's.
Well, this,
Where is he located?
he's behind me, and you can have a hint of it almost on this. Go, there's his garage,
Yeah.
and then go, that's one waste pile. Now, that's about 5 times as big. And it's right up against the wetlands, and it's huge, and he says he needs no permit. Or
Well-
that his permit was state granted or something, I don't know.
Well, maybe now that that's been mentioned at a public meeting, we're now aware of it. And Howard, if you would be kind enough, when you discuss with the building inspector the question that you were going to pose to him, if you would point out that he may wish to look at that.
Better yet, Mr. Chairman, what lot is that? Can you bring that, the lot overlay?
My map?
Here you go again with that, because that's some map stuff.
43, I think.
Crushing, he crushes right on the site?
Yeah,
Or just
What
brings
lot would it
trucks
be?
in and out?
1643.
1643.
And
What's the number?
1643.
43. Map 16, lot 43. And I'm sure the building inspector will check it out.
Take a tour.
1643 is,
Off of Industrial Way.
I understand that, but it's industrial zoned.
Oh, all of these are. The industrial zone.
Let me continue. And,
Runs parallel to 95.
I'm building my case here.
Okay.
And in industrial zone, can we have more than one use on the property?
More than one use.
Do we allow dual use?
Industrial is a use.
I understand that. But
It's a good
did you
question.
say he was grinding rock, making concrete?
He takes in concrete rubble and turns out that round up concrete rubble.
That would be a different use.
Do you hear that noise, that kind of noise?
What's the
I'm
primary
pretty
use?
far removed
What's the
from
primary
that.
use of the property?
I don't notice it when I drive by in the morning.
Is that his yard?
When I moved there, it was his yard, and he's the same kind of guy as me, so I'm hard pressed to make this case. But this other use is loud and noxious and came in the middle of the night.
I would
Oh, I
say.
know what, it's a stone crusher that he's running, correct?
Exactly.
Oh, I have heard that, actually.
My family sells them, I know how noisy they are.
Yeah, I thought somebody was breaking ledge back there or something.
Well, we could ask the building inspector to please look into it for us,
Yeah.
now that we've been made aware of it. And thank you for letting us know.
Oh, you don't shoot yourself.
Public meeting. It's a public meeting. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring up or discuss?
I might say that if people are putting up with that, this should be a layup with the neighbors. As we can see from the crowd here in opposition against it.
My only question would be if, and it seems to be relatively far away from the residential uses here, where the driveway is, where your driveway is gonna be coming out, and I'm assuming you're gonna get a little bit of traffic, what is directly across the street from that? Can we see that on a map? Can we see the residential?
I can almost, you can almost see it because we're
Yeah, you'd be coming out sort of, I'm sorry.
you're
Right around here.
You're on it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
What is that lot?
on the other side. That's
Is that,
that's just a treed lot, and what you're seeing up through the middle of it is.
is it residential or is it industrial as well, is what I'm saying?
It's residential.
Residential,
It's residential.
sure.
Okay.
The deer reside in it.
Pardon?
Right now, the deer reside in it.
I understand.
That's all the way.
And these people were all notified by the permit process, by the notification, right?
The green cards. You got
Okay.
them?
And we do the notice. The planning board does the notice. We don't.
Those people in
And
the
it's
back.
like a, ask anybody in the audience if they would like to comment. I don't hear anybody, no one's sitting out there.
I'd like to speak in favor of it, if I might.
Wait a minute. You'll be recorded as in.
We gotcha.
Comment, please.
I think on Mr. Graham's, at least in my opinion, on his issues, number 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 15. I'd be more concerned with those than the other stuff. The sight line, pipe sizes, runoff, the calculations, especially that discrepancy between the 2880 and 3,000 square. Or roof.
Roof runoff.
But we'll hit them all. And frankly, he found a couple of good ones. The turning radius going out onto Tenny Street,
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Right.
yeah.
So this is good
He's
stuff.
good. Very good. Usually he doesn't, pick the flag and what out of the pepper.
No, but I'm
Sight
appreciative of,
distance.
I'm appreciative of the consideration. If I could get on the next agenda and we had time to address those Larry Graham comments, I would love to be building this through the winter, but
The next planning board meeting is
Lisa
full.
Lane.
Lisa Lane, the medical marijuana bylaw, and Park and Rec.
When's our most immediate meeting right after that, Howard?
September 11th, which is the first meeting in September.
Well, that would give you adequate time to respond to
Yeah,
Larry,
we've
right?
actually gone through most of these already today.
As far as getting your response, or
Yeah,
discussing
we
it
have a
with Larry?
response letter already done, ready to go.
So you'd be sending that to Larry and CCing Howard,
I think it was
Through
sent
Larry.
out actually today, but
so
we'll
Larry will have a
contact,
chance to,
no,
Larry
he's not.
forwarded that to me today, so that's, the board has that.
This letter here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe we're looking at that right here, right?
No, we actually have a letter by my office.
No, not that one, the 14th, your original one. It's the one underneath the 14th.
The February 11th? No, that's,
Which the board.
Oh, okay. August 14th letter.
Yeah.
Engineering Alliance.
right.
Yeah, project 133770.
Right, so we would contact the consultant to follow up on all these issues.
So it's very feasible that by the 11th of September, yeah, Larry Graham could have everything,
Yes, absolutely.
a statement that everything's resolved and acceptable.
Yeah, we really didn't see anything that was earth-shattering on this that we couldn't resolve or get addressed.
But you're not in favor of extending that little roof over the employee
That would be
entrance
up
door?
to Tom.
I don't know why Larry's insistent on it, but.
Right, that's why I
He's not
wanted to bring it up
necessarily
tonight.
insistent, he just
It's
said
not really an
at the
engineering
owner's
review comment.
discretion, so.
Truthfully, we use it just to demarcate where the guys go in, and, you know, with the key on a snowy day, you have a place to stand in over the overhang. I'd rather put that money into trees and grass, to be honest. I don't think that will actually.
And I don't necessarily think it would make it look better.
I'm not sure either, to be honest.
I mean, I don't mind little gables over entrance doors or shed roofs, whatever.
You know, the front building is, I don't know,
I
showcase.
want to
is
compliment you on the front building.
It will be nice, it will be
The
nice.
front
And
building plans that I see,
that's
from
what
the
you'll see when
street-
you drive up to Park, I think.
from the
it's-
street, somebody's gonna think somebody lives there,
Yeah.
as opposed to my house where they think it belongs to the country club.
Or,
Are you gonna make any type of application for a sign?
I probably
Right.
will. There's a little humble one there on 118 Tenny Street that was approved. And I probably will try to find a spot to put a mounted one on my little building.
Is a pylon sign that is?
That's what's existing on 118.
Right, so I think should we show a pylon sign in the front somewhere? So we should get that on the plan.
Just make sure to
Site
show
plan,
the
yeah.
sign as part of the,
The actual
Show it on the site
dimensions.
plan,
Yeah,
yeah.
we should do
and
that.
that way you can get it all done
We
at
should
once.
do that.
Are you okay if it's affixed to the building?
Yeah, our bylaws allow for
Yeah.
it. so,
It might.
It can't be on the roof, though.
you know.
No,
And it might be hard with all your,
I'm gonna put it with all those
Windows.
windows.
I think there's something wrong right here, to be honest. We've been chatting. This thing looks out of scale to me, so there was a talk about dropping this down on top of this and make it one, and then in the middle there'd be a little pylon sign. But I can.
look into it, see what your options are, and then
Yeah.
revise the site plan, because you'll have to do that anyhow.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm not
I think
picturing it,
what
I'm
we're
just not
getting at-
picturing it. I'm sure it'll be tasteful, but
I think
stuff to
we
picture.
really want a sign probably right here
Mhm.
at the entrance, so
We-
that people will not just go right by.
Go in there thinking it's a home.
We can do that. We sort of need to erase our name off the other one anyway, so that's right.
We'll draw detail and add that to the plan.
And between now and the 11th, you can get that to us, the board can look at it and have opinions ready.
Yeah, we'll put it right on drawing, yeah, with the dimensions and all.
Take part of the money from that overhead savings
Exactly,
and
thank you.
make a nice wood graved
Go, yeah.
gold leaf.
Please.
you did a
Is-
nice
is-
job on that landscaping there last year. It was when you did that front and planted the lawn and
Thank you.
all of that, I was wondering what you were gonna do with it. At what point you were gonna stop taking trees, and it came out beautiful. It's very nice. I don't know how you got the lawn to grow so fast in the
Yeah,
middle of the
it's
summer,
all
too.
weeds, but it's a
So your
work in
whole
progress.
operation will be inside then, from,
Yeah, which is the real, if we're talking about aesthetics, that's a real thing. You know, I have bulldozers, back roads and all that stuff. And when you go beyond those two green trees that are together, there's a bog grate right there, but I guess there's what we call an MDC gate, which is that sort of tubular gate that
Yep.
locks on.
yeah.
That closes at night, everything is out back. Guys get in the morning, they park here, they open this gate.
And your security, you said, is the virtual watchman type of camera?
We have had a loss or two, kind of junior, we lost a snowplow, we lost some stuff, so
This is special permit, so what about external storage of materials?
we don't. We have a little bit of that now, but truthfully, the warehouse's function, we have, you know, an 8-inch pump, we have the light tower things, we have hay choppers, we have those kind of things. They like to live inside. They should be living inside. Currently, they do not.
What about building materials?
We don't really do that, and we don't stockpile earth materials on site. They go direct to the jobs.
So you have no problem with a prohibition of that?
I-
A condition in the.
I don't think I do. I don't
So
think
that
I
can
do.
be a condition.
You don't
Mr.
break
Ford, you said all
construction
your
agreement.
equipment's gonna be inside?
Well, that's not, truthfully, that's not true. All the littler stuff's gonna be inside, but we have a number of backhoes and bulldozers and stuff. Mostly, they live on a job, and the objective is to move them from job to job and not bring them home. But that does happen on occasion.
If you did have to bring a backhoe to, or an excavator back, where would you be parking it? Where do you think?
Well, this, you see the difference in the hatching? This is paved from here, this is gravel.
Stops there, yeah.
So this will remain gravel, so, and there's some parking back here, but this would be the preferred space on the gravel base.
Mm-hmm.
And there's room there to circle our little low bed and drop something off.
Mm-hmm. And so people probably wouldn't see it that much from the street, because it's behind the building,
No.
pretty much screened.
It's
I
way
see
back.
it out there now, it's not offensive, it's an industrial zone.
It is.
That's what you see in industrial zones.
You are pretty far away.
And I, you know, I'm being forthright with you. We're not changing our business model or anything. I'd like to stay in Georgetown. It's worked great for us for 20 years. It's a great place to be.
But your business
Like business
basically
in
is environmental construction, is that what?
Civil and environmental, you know, we're doing a bunch of solar sites right now, a couple of seawall projects, landfill caps. It's kind of, what we don't do is a water line running down the street for a long period of time, you know, stuff with the little.
Been out to Plum Island at all?
We have, watching other people work. It's very aggravating. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of your machines out
We
there.
did an emergency repair in Hull a couple weeks ago, that made the news, but nothing on Plum Island.
Well, they're not building seawalls out there
Yeah,
anyway.
I know. It's a challenge. We're about to take down the last casino on Salisbury Beach.
Oh, you're
The
taking that down?
The waterfront one, yeah.
Huh.
That's next week.
Any more questions?
No, I think that's.
I heard a motion to continue to, what is it, September 11th, 2013 by Chris. Chris makes a motion to continue, seconded by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, thank
see you guys in a few weeks.
Okay.
Thank you. We took public comment, right? Yeah, we took public comment, right?
Well, you gotta do that.
I saw
Just
three
for the record,
ghosts-
there are no people in the audience, so
I saw
there is
three
no
ghosts from the
public
other
comment. Yeah. Okay, and let's see. Where are we? And 1 and 2. Howard, I'm going to now open reopen the public hearing for solar and wind generation bylaw. Reopening that hearing. Howard, you want to bring us up to speed on,
I have not had
Word.
a chance since the last meeting to get together with the light department in order to start the revisions that were discussed at the last meeting.
Mhm.
About changing the scale from more intended use away from the nameplate lot capacity, so there hasn't been any progress. And besides that, the effort was put into the medical marijuana bylaw and getting a draft to the board for that, so. There isn't anything to report.
that being said, this is a public hearing, and anybody that would like to comment about this from the audience, there is nobody in the audience, so. So, Chris, did you say you wanted to continue?
Yeah, motion to continue.
Motion to continue to, Howard, look at the schedule and let's try to figure out,
11th empty?
well, let's try to figure out what's going on. figure out where you wanna
The
be.
28th is Lisa Lane Medical Marijuana Park and Rec.
Yeah, that's a little too
So
big,
you
right?
want to move it to September 11th as well?
Work for you guys? That's what you said, isn't
Are
it?
you
September
gonna have
11th,
time
huh?
to do whatever it is?
Oh, gee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not much left.
So Chris makes a motion, continue several, September 11th, 2013.
Second.
And seconded by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And that'll be continued. Howard, we have some old business, and would you bring us up to speed on that?
I received from town council, and you received in your packet, information regarding the Hazen Court and Rogers Way. I had forwarded this to the board previously, also with some cursory remarks from the planning office. And in brief, for the letter, it's the opinion that it be placed back on the official town map. And to do so,
As Hazen Court and Rogers Way.
no, because it was, that name was never,
Approved.
it could be placed back on as Hazen Court and Rogers Way because it was on the last one, and it's basically can be considered a transcription error that it was removed because we couldn't find any proof of it being removed. That being said, if you put it back onto the map as Hazen Court and Rogers Way, those names, there isn't anything that has proven why they're named that way or who named them or in what capacity. The selectmen didn't name them, the town didn't name them. So,
And won't we run into some issues, or those poor people will run into some issues on their deeds where it says now or formerly?
Yeah.
right.
Jim,
So-
Jim Rogers would rather keep it as Jewett Street.
Right, so,
Because he's all his letterhead and business cards and all that. He said, I don't want to have to remake all my.
right. So it can go, basically go back on in manner suggested by the planning board, being Jewett Street. And I'd made the recommendation that it be put back on as Jewett Street, but a number underneath of it state the numbers of the house addresses on there. I believe Hazen Court is, it would say Jewett Street, and then the sign underneath of it would say, I think it's 92 to 96.
Right.
And then on Rogers Way, it's 112 to 118.
So would you make a street sign that actually said that?
Yeah,
You gonna make it personally, or?
I hand carve it.
In gold.
We'll get Wendy.
Now, the other decision for the planning board is how it's gonna go onto the official town map. It's still a public way. We couldn't find anything that during the realignment that it was removed or given to the selectmen and the selectmen accepted it. So it is a public way.
Doesn't it have to be either private or
Well,
public?
My recommendation
Isn't that the choice?
to my colleagues would be that it go on the town map just as we're putting on the street signs.
Yeah. Why
Well,
not?
it can go on, here are the categories. Public way accepted, public way unaccepted, private way, or public way proposed.
Well,
Was-
they
it's
want
been
it accepted.
Hasn't it? Wasn't it once an accepted street?
Jewett Street was, I would think, but I don't know how they
It's
did
Jewett
things.
Street address, right?
Yeah,
Was Old Jewett Street an public way?
it's been a public way, is laid out, and
An accepted street?
Yeah.
Old Jewett Street was an accepted street, plowed EIEIO all the way through?
before the highway went in and everything
Yep.
else,
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was. It was a county road.
Well, just because you put it in a highway doesn't mean you take the public out of public street. Or
I
public
think,
way,
I
rather.
think the residents
Accepted.
on Hazen Court would prefer that it were a public way. I think they're looking for some maintenance on the road.
Right, it's, the other aspect is, I couldn't find any proof of when a county road, which this part of Jewett Street once was, the realignment, if you change anything about that alignment, it needs to be approved by the county. And the old right-of-way of Jewett Street, referred to as Hazen Court and Rogers Way, is still there. Small portions of the road, but the old Jewett Street used to run straight, and now it curves
Right.
like a driveway. It meets dead end. I couldn't find any proof of anybody approving that paved realignment.
And the horse farm down at the end
Mhm.
of that Hazen Court, that should be, that's more like that, that almost should be a private road.
It's a driveway to.
It's an easement.
driveway.
Yeah,
It's a
I
driveway.
don't think that was ever part of Jewett Street.
No, no.
Is that part of, is that this side of 95?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you go by the farm,
Mhm.
if
Yeah,
you
if
take
you
the
keep
jog,
going.
you take the jog in
Yeah,
and keep going.
you
where
end up
dead-
in a horse farm.
Yeah, yeah, that looked like a driveway.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Looked
that's,
like the road ended right at that house where that driveway begins with the
right,
horse farm.
right, and that's where the road should end.
So the area on the official town map, all of this is right-of-way area. This is part of the state for the highway.
I just
It's a
wonder
private lot.
if the horse farm's address is Hazen Court, or if they use Jewett Street, because
Everyone, as I understand, still
Yeah,
uses
they're all
George
the
Street.
Jewett Street on the
even,
deeds.
even the horse farm,
It would
I'm
have
not
to be
sure,
updated.
because it
because
was.
that came later. That was after the realignment.
But I think there was an old homestead there from Belkin that lived
Yeah.
back there. So,
Well, Belkins was at the end of Rogers Way, but maybe it was actually
Oh,
on both sides of the highway,
yeah.
because it was a big property once.
Well, I thought I read in that the attorney said you can just put it back the way it was from the first map that we did. Did I read that incorrectly?
Right, as a transcription. But if the planning board decides it's better to put the designation and a name more fitting than what it was before, there's a chance that it doesn't need to go before the town meeting, through the town meeting process. It's a recommendation of the planning
We can
board.
just vote it in,
It
is
would
that
go,
right?
it would go before the town meeting,
No,
or
it
it would
doesn't
not?
have
Wouldn't.
to.
Would not.
No,
So,
it's
why
like
don't,
a correction.
how does this sound to everybody? Why don't you show us, graphically, exactly what the map would look like?
Mhm.
Make the modifications to it in a draft form.
Right.
And it sounds to me like we approve it, and then we make it the official town map.
Yeah.
At that point, right?
Correct it. That's it.
So, what's the consensus of the board here? Are we looking at a private road? Or are we looking at a public road?
Public.
Public.
Public. I would
Public.
say that I would cross-check that with
I-
Peter.
I just want to back up to something you said. In his letter, it said, town meeting has never authorized the removal of Hazen Court from the official map.
Right.
In my opinion, the 2011 revised official map should be corrected to reinsert the way shown as Hazen Court.
Hmm.
So you're going to be showing the way.
The way.
Such
As it was
action
shown.
corrects an administrative oversight and thus does not require town meeting approval. Once corrected, a version of the map is prepared, it can be recorded at the registry with a reference to the 2011 map. An attorney's affidavit may be necessary as well to explain the new recording. So,
Keep going.
We need an attorney
Paragraph
to
number
tell
4.
us.
Given that there's no evidence that Jewett Street was ever discontinued, and that this way is still known in the town as Jewett Street, in my opinion, it would be permissible to label it as such on the corrected 2011 map. Which I think is what we want to do.
And you
Now,
can't have
we're
public
talking
and
about-
private.
And there's-
private,
there's
public,
another
right?
interest-
It's
Can
either
I ask,
public
can I
or
ask
private.
just so that we're all on the same page here, because I'm a little confused. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. But we're referring to what we were talking about as Hazen. We're not talking about Rogers Way yet, right?
We're talking about
think
both of
both.
them.
We're talking about both, so they're
Yeah.
both public?
Right,
Rogers Way?
yeah.
it's the same condition, just on the other side of 95.
Yeah, why not? If it's
I
okay
think
with
Peter
Peter.
plows it anyway.
Yeah,
Oh,
if it's
does he?
okay with
I
him.
believe so. I don't think Jim.
Do we have a
plows it.
confirmation of that?
Can we get some
Can
communication
we get
with
a
Peter.
confirmation of that?
Well, even if he
Because-
doesn't, he should, because it was a public way. And
Right.
it should continue to be a public
Sure.
way, and they pay taxes like everybody else. It was never deemed to be private.
That's right.
Jim Rogers doesn't even know who put that sign up, he says. Yeah, no, he thinks Belkin might have put that up. And I said, well, wouldn't he have called it Belkin's Way?
He would have. That's right.
You'd think, so I think one of the Rogers, maybe his father
Maybe
or
the
something.
one-
Well, I think it
Maybe
would,
his mother
this
did.
statement that town council says would also go for Rogers Way. Based on the facts that you've provided, it appears that Hazen Court does not indicate the name of a way recognized by any authority in town.
Right, totally. There was never anything.
And in fact, depicting what was Jewett Street as of 1951 taking.
So we're gonna restore the 1951 layout of what we've been all referring to as Hazen, and the same thing with Rogers, and depict that on the town map.
We should go right across 95, put a traffic light.
We just.
And we're gonna
A
designate
toll.
them
How about
as
toll?
public,
Georgetown
right? Is
toll.
that?
Public, yep.
Yeah, but
Everybody
but
good with
before
that?
we do that,
Uh-huh.
I would say we check with Peter to make him, make sure he's on board with this. Calling it public.
And presuming that Peter has no problem maintaining
That's right.
and plowing those two,
And I'm sure he won't, but I
then
just.
how it'll move
I don't
forward.
think Peter has any choice.
I don't think it's an issue for Peter.
Yeah.
I think it's,
If it's a public way, Peter has to plow it.
it either is or it isn't.
Right, well, I think you got two issues. You've got the idea it's a public way,
Mhm.
which everyone's agreeing, yes, it's still a public way. But designated on the map, you just happen to have the categories.
Yeah.
Public way accepted, public way unaccepted.
Right.
So, and
Well, Jewett Street, if it is depicted in the 1951 Jewett Street layout, Jewett Street was accepted back then, correct?
Right.
Well, you can't, I don't think that you can take an accepted street, interrupt it at any point, and then at other points of that street lose their acceptedness, if you will, or
Right.
their acceptability.
Leave them dangling, you mean?
well, and
Yeah, then now they don't know what it
No,
is.
the county
Yeah,
commissioners
right.
would have to
The
discontinue
post
it.
office still,
Yeah,
well,
post
and
office
even
still
if the
delivers
county,
mail to Jewett Street on those, so it kind of tells you something.
I don't recall if the county commissioners ever issued a discontinuance for that section of Jewett Street, and we certainly never found anything that showed the selectmen accepted the land. So it goes back to what it was at the layout.
my only concern with Peter is that if he has not been considering that as a public way all this time.
And
if-
adding it to his chapter 90.
Yeah.
Let him add it.
Yeah.
If he, that would be.
Well, let's
That's
find
right.
out, let's find out, I'd like to hear from him, I mean.
Oh, I don't have a problem with,
Yeah.
with letting him know about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think if he says no,
So he says
that
up.
should have, you know,
Carry
cause
much-
us,
yeah,
Jurisdiction.
change our mind.
that's the death knell for us to,
I'll
this is a
bet he's
decision
been
by the
plowing it,
board.
because I haven't seen anyone else plowing Hazen Court.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Hazen.
I just wanna make sure it's,
Okay.
you know, a good condition that he can do it and it's not gonna create any grief for him. If he's been doing it right along, hey, fine, not a big deal. But,
Yeah.
That part of Jewett Street, that's Hazen Court, is a mess. I mean, it really
Yeah.
does, but it just
there
has to
any
get in
dra-
line like everybody else in Georgetown.
Did you notice
Sure.
any drains down
I'm
there?
just thinking Rogers Way, where does he push it to? Because it sort of dead ends quickly. But I'm sure he's been dealing with that before.
Did you notice any drains that were put in back there?
I didn't honestly look for drains.
Well, Howard, how about this? How's this sound? Howard, show it on the map the way you think it's most appropriate with the entitling, the naming, etc. Show it as public. It'll be a draft map, right?
Yeah.
And come back to us with something from Peter Durkee. Okay, some comments from him. And we'll bring it up at another meeting.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it then, and we can give some kind of a vote for that, and vote to approve, or.
Do we want to formally canvass the neighbors? Residents?
I think the neighbors
I
have
think Tim did
given
that,
us.
sorry, didn't you?
I talked to Jim Rogers and Premier. Of course, Premier fronts the main Jewett Street anyway, but he also owns the old Belkins
I'll make
place.
the motion to appoint Tim as our neighborhood ombudsman.
Yeah, really.
And I know on Hazen's Court, the woman that was Frank's aunt or Frank Getchell's aunt, she would prefer, matter of fact, she was in here and she said she'd prefer it was remained
Yeah.
Jewett Street,
Jewett,
as I
yeah.
recall.
I think we've heard from you.
Yeah, I think it all started with, she said, it isn't important West name, she just wants the street
Clarity,
back on
yeah.
the map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry about that.
What's it, Mrs. Bateman?
So as long as we know
Yeah.
we're not doing anything we shouldn't be doing,
Right.
Yeah.
it's great to
I
have
think
a
they
file
need to
of
know
it.
where they live.
Well, she's got some land back there, you know, the farm, and someday she may want to sell it. It'd be nice to have it like on a map and make it easy to sell without a
Sure.
thousand questions.
So, Howard will add it.
Okay,
We'll add the streets to the draft map. Contacting Peter Durkee for comments, for his comments. And bring it back to us, right? What's a reasonable amount of time for that,
Yeah,
Howard?
it'll be the 11th,
On
just the next meeting is gonna be pretty busy.
September 11th? If you need more time, this is certainly something that's not
well, the next meeting is
hypercritical, but
this the last
Whatever you
meeting in
think.
August?
Yeah.
good.
28th.
We have a member or a public report, email.
Member of the planning board requested that the board be forwarded an email about, that email was from Tilly to the board.
Does that concern East Main Street?
It concerns the special permit for the athletic
We're
facilities.
gonna
on East
deliberate,
Main
right? We're gonna bring
No,
that up
we're
at
not,
the,
but
okay.
I-
So we're gonna bring that up
Oh,
at the
I-
next
this-
opening?
I brought this in too, for information purposes. I think you were at the seminar that I was at, right? This is the 2008 updates on storm drains.
Storm
Does
drains?
anybody want this copy?
On storm drains?
Yeah. 2008, they updated the storm drains of the
Stormwater
state.
Management Handbook. Yeah,
And this was their changes from the 1996, I think.
they're incorporated into our regs. Because it's 2000.
Yeah, it mentions it, but does anybody else want a copy? Because I didn't have it, and I didn't know anybody else. We do have it stated in our subdivision regs.
We added them.
But-
under lid.
Who has it?
Right, to reference.
You have one of these, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Can this be put on for discussion, the agenda of the?
The
continue-
public
continue-
hearings continue
The
to the
continued
28th.
public hearing.
Yeah,
What is that, at our next meeting?
yeah,
Or
on the August 28th.
28th?
Yep,
Okay.
please. Because there are some issues
Yeah.
Tilly raised that I
I
have
would-
some questions
yeah.
about.
Howard, bring that up to us as soon as we reopen that hearing?
Tilly, will you bring an extra copy of that,
Sure.
please?
But you can also, okay, all right. Forget it.
8/28? 8/28, right? When the hearing reopens?
East Main Street is going to be the 28th.
Great, great. Any other concern of a planning board member? On once, go twice?
Nope.
Howard,
Do you
draft
have a
bylaw?
concern here?
Oh.
Do you have a concern?
I
I'm concerned with getting out of here tonight
I have,
at a reasonable
We're
hour.
almost-
Or have
ready.
you requested documents from other board members? Have you received any?
You received.
yeah, I
mine.
was gonna,
What documents? What are you
are
talking-
we, how are we
You're
supposed to
talking about
review Howard? What's going
Looking
on
at
with
things,
that?
yeah.
Oh, reviewing you.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on with that? I haven't seen any emails.
Has anybody sent
I
me
sent
anything?
mine.
You sent yours.
I sent mine.
You better resend it. I didn't receive any. You better resend
Oh, I
it.
was quite diligent. When I got the form, I did it right away and copied it and sent it right back to you.
I haven't
Harry, would you
received it.
resend the form?
I certainly will.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't believe
Certainly.
I have it. I'm not saying you didn't send it, but
Okay. I'll certainly resend it. I'll send it back.
Is
out.
it,
Because
is
I
it
already
just,
spent all the money Howard gave me to give him a good review. Just kidding,
Just kidding.
for the record.
is it a very simplistic?
It's numerical based. Yeah, you do 1 to 5.
I used my favorite number, 1.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna take you all weekend. If it does, you're.
Slow.
Yeah, well, you're
working on
really
the numbers.
meticulous. And you might agonize over those
I
questions.
sent you back right away.
Jeez, I must have missed it, Chris. I'm really sorry, man. I'll have to do it again.
Is there an exhaust leak in the new machine that you?
Let's move on.
It's only diesel.
I
Can't
get
hurt
all
you,
the
right?
time.
Sorry, Ken.
Yeah, draft bylaw, Howard, medical marijuana. You have a copy of it for us, right?
In your packet is the current draft bylaw, as well as some correspondence from the Attorney General's office regarding Medfield. In their
Westboro?
articles on their warrant for medical marijuana treatment center. I also included in your packet a community update from Copeland and Page regarding regulation of medical marijuana related uses.
The
And a
update.
copy of their draft model medical marijuana overlay district bylaw. Gave to you also in your supplemental packet tonight some interesting additional research that I had found from a legal journal, as well as a white paper from the state of California about from the state police, I believe, and their findings about medical marijuana. So read it and consider it for the public hearing, which is on the 28th.
At that public hearing, because this is in our packet,
Yeah.
at that public hearing, are you gonna have the draft bylaw packet for us? So we have it just as a discrete package in and of itself, copies for us?
Sure,
We can go over
separate.
it.
Yeah, that's fine.
That would be helpful because,
Yeah, not stapled in, right.
yeah, you know,
And-
yeah.
One person came into the planning office and requested a copy of it, and
Oh, concerned
made-
citizen?
Yeah, made a comment that it was 16 pages, and it won't be 16 pages.
How is Mr. Epstein?
It's just got plenty of space for you to take comments on and everything else, so.
Great.
And
we'll take
it's
public
just the
comment.
start, it's just a draft.
I hope he shows up at a hearing, Mr. Epstein.
I hope anyone who's concerned with
I'll
the
be
issue of medical
disappointed if you
marijuana
don't.
and our
He knows
bylaw
his- he
shows
knows
up.
his stuff.
Hope they do.
Yeah.
The copies come into the planning office, they're available, they're also available online in PDF format,
Fantastic. Great.
along with the solar and wind too.
Howard, we have a zoning map issue, issues with the zoning, district zoning boundaries. It
Yeah.
was, the very
The, I got
thing,
something from Merrimack Valley.
draft zoning map, right on the last page.
Merrimack
Oh,
Valley Planning
page.
Mission received a state grant. I'm sorry, just a moment. To update the tax assessor map lines in Georgetown, as well as some other municipalities. And
Loads slowly, doesn't it?
yeah, the areas circled in red are the ones that are of some concern, and the problem that has occurred in many instances is when the zoning districts were originally drawn, they were done more as offset rather than being sensitive to actual property boundaries. And so you can see in here This zoning district
Splits lots.
splits lots. They're both residential, but it splits the lot. And you've got this little odd little piece here because the offset from this road and this road and this road created this little island. And that is typical for some of these other areas in Georgetown where the industrial area was just drawn as an offset from 95 and didn't consider geographic,
The lots
political
that it was
boundaries, the
splitting.
lot boundaries.
The lots that it was splitting.
So I'm looking into how some of these were drafted, but it's going to require some future action by the board to recommend that the zoning district be modified to incorporate the whole lot in discussion with the property owner. It's not an easy fix.
Ask
No,
a
it's complicated.
related question. In the map that we saw about Mr. Ford's property, there was a curved line near the street that looked like that. It looked like there was the residential boundary was splitting a bunch of lots. Now, that blue line,
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
the water resources.
That's
line.
water resources,
That's
okay,
water resource.
okay.
That's an over, that's
Very good.
an overlay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, that Marlboro, that's an old development, very old.
Mhm.
I'm surprised.
Martel?
But
No,
so-
it's
this is an
oh, it's
offset. You can see how
Martel.
these go by the
Martel Way.
property.
Right.
So it's just going to take a little bit of some.
What is
repair.
what is all that, they're not really zone marked here, right?
They're industrial.
That's all industrial?
That's our
Yeah.
industrial zone,
The
Martel Way.
grayish is, right, and
Yeah.
the yellow is residential.
And this is all industrial.
Oh, the
But
gray is,
my
yeah.
understanding is when the zoning was first decided for industrial, they went 1,350 feet from the center line in one
16.
direction, and 1,650 in the other.
No, it
That was
should've-
my understanding.
Oh, I thought it was equal.
So here's a
Really?
residential area. This is a
Thought it was
Longview Way.
1650.
Some of the industrial areas in there.
You know what it is that
Marino
90,
Way is where Mirror is.
Yeah.
when 95 was being built is when that first line went in. But they have expanded 95. And I never got a full
And that's-
answer
That's pretty square.
whether they moved the line industrially
It would have been,
with that.
from the center line of 95.
But they added another right, you know.
But it would have been from the center line. Even if you're 1,600 feet from the center line, and you have 1 lane, 2 lanes, 3 lanes, your distance doesn't change. You're not going from the outside. You're
But
going from
I
the
think
center line.
that's where the problem may lie with Martel. Is that's what,
Can you go back to Martel for a minute?
This was a.
It makes absolutely no sense to only partially zone part of, if just Martel Way was zoned industrial, is the industrial / residential land, is that the industrial buffer that they're showing?
I don't believe
no,
so, Chris.
no.
I don't believe so. If you look at it.
Let me ask
it-
this question.
It actually is a very straight line.
Well, I
It's
understand
parallel.
that, but let me
Yeah.
ask this question. Is there an industrial buffer is there a buffer required between residential and industrial?
Yes.
100 feet, but
Yes.
the industrially zoned parcel has to absorb that.
That's what I'm talking about,
No, on its own lot.
on its own lot.
Oh, yeah,
If it abuts a residential lot.
exactly.
Well, right there, if you notice, it's not, and that might even make more sense. It's not abutting any residential lots.
Well, aren't all those lots residential?
The residentially zoned.
Yeah,
They're landlocked.
No,
they're residentially zoned. They may not be,
they're not all
Being
residential
cut-
zone. Part of that lot is industrially zoned.
right.
Well, that's the
And
point.
I think
So-
this is what the whole point is.
We
So
need to
these
look
things need
into
be-
how the district was originally drawn.
Pull up Center Street. I mean, that's a mess, isn't it? Right near the square?
Yeah, how, yeah,
That's a
I saw
mess.
that, I couldn't understand that at
That's
all.
all over the place. Yeah. And don't you have it further down yet too? Or did we finally square that up?
You see how it just follows the road? This is residential, so that's, but you can see it's just this odd offset that was done. And some people have residences in here with,
It's very difficult to see the distinction in the colors. there.
oh, okay.
Very difficult, Howard.
The contrast isn't
Yeah.
there,
So,
but
okay,
here you
hold
can
on,
see.
hold on.
You can see it there easily.
Just, yeah, you can see it a little bit.
Elm Street to Brook Street. Interesting.
Hmm.
I wonder if those people know that.
The thing that's wrong here is that, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you.
Elm
you went
Street
there.
is only on, it's not both sides of Elm Street, that's, commercial, I think that is.
No, this is RA, this is central
Yeah.
residential, this is residential one. Or
B.
B.
RB.
Res-
Yeah, RB.
Yeah, let's see how you're splitting some right here?
Yeah.
You're splitting a couple right there? Oops,
So
sorry.
what is
Now they're
the,
all the same.
No, what did I do? I didn't run over anything.
well, what is the cream color? Is that RB
I think
Not
it's
me.
or C?
Greens are C,
Or what-
isn't it?
This is central residential.
Mhm.
And then this is
That's RA.
RB.
That's RB.
We really need to
That's-
change the
well,
tones
that-
or the colors a little bit on
It's
the
clear
next
on
one.
my screen, it just
Yeah.
gets washed out on that,
Yeah,
so.
it's even very, very difficult to discern it when you have a printed map, so.
You gotta
Maybe when
have
you
some
do
more,
when we do a new draft map for the zoning, maybe we can
Like-
clean that up a little bit and
Yeah, get some better content.
Get
like
some
the town
funky
forest.
colors.
Yeah, you gotta break that up.
use
a
some
little
more of the rainbow, you know? Even the distinction, I
So
mean,
this
it's
was
difficult to see the
compiled
difference
by-
between an industrial A and an industrial B. I
How
can't
did-
even see where industrial A is.
How did he do this now? Explain that to me.
This exercise is not being paid for by Georgetown and the technical hours.
Well, how is he doing it though? What material is he
What material?
using to do this? What he's using some documents. Is he looking at every plot?
He's not redoing the zoning map.
No. I
What
mean,
the zoning map and the colors in the district delineation has remained the same. What he's doing is using state money from a grant to more accurately depict the tax assessor lot lines.
So he's using their data.
He's using
Assessor's data.
the assessor's data to update these things. And let me give an example.
Well, wouldn't the assessors be the ones that would have to verify or correct any errors through reading the deeds or whatever?
I'm sure they are.
So we really don't have to be into this.
Yeah, we do. We're the ones responsible for the zoning district. If you look at you can see how the lot line here, that lot line is off. It should be down here. So there's better technology to greater delineate the tax assessor information onto the map.
And some of the the assessor's office information is like whacked because, you know,
Well,
you go and look at some of the parcels on the assessor's map and you check out some of the areas that they're showing. And then I've seen it at least a half a dozen times when the applicants come in with actual drawn stamped plans. The parcels are 25-40% bigger in area than they actually are. So it's a mind blower. It really is.
Well, until the assessors finish verifying whatever the size of the parcels, I don't think we should do the next step until that's done.
Well, I disagree, Tilly. The exercise that is here is changing the zone district just to the limit of the property and not determining what the property lines are. So what I mean by that is if you look on this property right here,
Yeah.
the commercial is splitting this property right here. So we need to look into how is that commercial meant to go back to that property line, or is it meant to include the rest of the property?
So he didn't follow the written out districts in our zoning?
He did a long time ago.
Yes, and that's what
Well,
you're seeing.
that's what I,
And that's the problem, because the problem is the way it was described, when it was described years ago and voted on, that's what actually has to stand. But you have situations like this where you have half of a lot being, what is it, commercial?
Commercial,
And half of a lot being residential.
residential.
So what is it?
Yeah, but that's not unheard of.
yeah, that's
But
kind
if
of
the state
normal.
wants to square that up, I mean, if Merrimack Valley wants to spend their money squaring that up, we can take care of that.
Well, we've always,
And if the board doesn't feel that that's something to square up, then let's get that off of
The
our
board
plate
addressed
right
this-
now. Make a motion.
The board addressed a similar issue a year or two ago to this little parcel of land right here on National Ave.
Took the triangle out.
Took the triangle
We took
out
it to
and
town meeting,
made
take
it
it
all
out.
gray. It would be the same thing that you did here would be for up on this lot, where it'd be changing industrial to the residential to industrial for the whole property, and taking out what is a residential lot and taking it out of a industrial area and putting it into a residential area.
Each one of these
Wouldn't-
issues, though, could turn into a rat's nest. Each and every one of
And
them.
wouldn't you think the
Because the
property
butters are
owners-
gonna be impacted.
Yeah.
I don't want, all of a sudden, I'm abutting a commercial district or an industrial district.
well, I think the general rule now, I'm not sure we have it in the book, but I think I've read it in the state. The general rule was that the most property in that district is the one you followed. So you'd have to decipher which, if it's 50% or if it's 60% or if it's 20%.
And what's the criteria for that area? I mean, to me,
Yeah.
this is a very sticky spot. And it's all individual. I mean, individual, look up there Pillsbury Lane. It looks like there's
This is
one lot, yeah, right
this
in
is
there.
water, but
What the
that
heck is
lot
that?
belongs to this.
Well,
And
that's because that's a subdivision, Pillsbury Lane, right?
Mm,
Is that it? Yeah.
well,
No.
so
Bernard Lane
these are the
Further
this is
up
the
is the
the red
Yeah.
circles are the low hanging fruit, and then you can start getting into specific lots like this. And they, I mean, look up over here, Linden Circle. You got a property on Beloit Road that is half in its central residential district and one on an outline.
I don't think you can just change the zoning without the property owners.
You need to
Maybe
involve
they
property
wanted-
owners, and
maybe
it
they
needs to
wanted- Maybe
be.
they wanted to have it dual. Who
And
knows?
butters will be impacted as well.
I think we should just leave it alone.
okay, is that a motion?
Wait,
Okay,
wait,
Tim moves.
Second.
Tim moves to,
No, we can't do
Tim,
that.
yeah,
I
you
disagree.
can. Watch
I-
us not do
I don't
that.
think you can, you know, I.
The state is gonna dictate that we do this, I
Well,
bet
then,
you.
then let them.
Until they
Tim-
give us the money.
Tim moves
State is
to
giving the money to
advise
The state is paying for it,
Merrimack
we have to
Valley
do it.
Planning Commission that the planning board
I-
does not wish to
Be a part of it.
participate
Right. I'm not saying
In
the state shouldn't do it.
this, what is this, initiative?
Let
It's an
them do it.
initiative?
The
The
state,
state's not going to do it.
It's an
they're not
initiative?
gonna do it because
But-
they didn't even have GIS
But
when
let me-
Merrimack Valley did
Mr.
it.
Chairman, if I may,
Yeah.
what right do we have? And in legal terms, it's called sua sponte, which means of our own initiative, to go in and tell somebody, your lot has residential A and residential B zoning on it, we're gonna change it.
We have to first make sure that he has everything that was voted at town meeting correct. But when they got to the RB, for instance, when they did the RB, they did everything else, the RA, the commercial, and the RC, and RA, and then they said everything else is RB. So the everything else has probably got issues with it, because who knows what everything else is?
I say let the assessor's office deal with it.
Well,
Yeah,
the-
I
the
think
white-
that's where it should be,
The
probably.
white is what,
Oh, it's a
Howard?
zoning issue.
the white is what on here?
Central residential.
Howard, there's probably 400 properties impacted by that.
Yeah, and Merrimack Valley is asking us to weigh in on 5.
Just 5.
On
Yeah.
five properties.
Five areas of concern.
5 areas.
How
It
many
looks like
properties are
it-
involved
yes,
in those
1,
5? How
2,
many lots
3,
fall
4,
in that?
5, 6, at least 6 in the one on the right.
So how,
Each
how
and
are
every
we-
one of
what are
those
you going to do
owners
to
It's
help
gonna
them?
have to be part of a
Can
discussion.
I,
Plus only-
rather than perpetuate this or chop its head off, why don't we see at the next meeting exactly what documentation you've
We
been
have a
sent?
motion that's been made and seconded.
I didn't hear a second, that's the
I
problem.
seconded it.
Oh, you seconded it?
For
Okay.
discussion purposes.
So
of
Tin
course.
moves to
Everyone
advise Merrimack Valley Planning Commission that the planning board does not wish to participate in this initiative. It was seconded by Chris
I seconded it for discussion.
for
purposes.
discussion purposes.
When you say the state's gonna pay for it, if it's $2 million, they're gonna
Nothing
pay
about
$2
that.
million.
This
doubt it.
this is the sole documentation we have right now. See,
They'll
this
probably give 10,000.
this is all we know about it,
Maybe.
right
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
That's all we know.
the scope to solve this is multi-million-dollar issue.
Well,
It's gonna
not-
take,
it's
it's
not-
gonna take the rest of our lives, too.
I think we
Yeah,
should
it's not
find out some more
It's
$10,000.
gonna
about
take
this.
all of our bandwidth.
I think we should find out some more about our initiative.
I'd like to find out how we're gonna do it.
I'd like to find out a little bit more about what.
Well,
Merrimack-
what it is me going and looking at the commercial area and tracing back to how that district was originally drawn, and if it's correctly drawn, because the tax assessor information and lot line delineation is accurate, and if it's not, then I recommend to the board that you change the zoning designation.
So is the state gonna pay for all your time to do that? When you say the state's gonna pay for it, what are they paying for?
Merrimack Valley.
On
That's what
paper
they're
after
saying.
somebody does all the
Yeah,
hard
I
work?
would like, is that,
Merrimack Valley is doing this initiative, updating the accuracy of all the property line delineation and being paid for by the state.
Merrimack Valley is. So the amount of your time that you dedicate is on us.
You could spend 50% of your time for the next 3 years doing that.
That's
Easy.
my,
I-
that's
I-
really my
Yeah,
concern.
I asked, answer my question if you would, please.
Me going out and looking at these areas of concern would be on my time.
I mean,
On your planning board time,
Right.
yeah, on the board's time.
In the same way that I spent time on the open space and recreation plan, on the same, looking to update and make sure that's accurately depicting state-owned land, town-owned land, chapter 61 land. It's just,
It's a lot different than updating a map that,
Yeah.
it's a zoning map. It's the municipality zoning map.
oh, I
This is
see.
how you get,
Do the assessors have a budget to do it? Does the who is the primary, who has the primary responsibility of the zoning map?
the planning board.
Planning board.
board.
Planning board?
Yeah, that's by state.
That's why I'm even bringing it up.
And the
Yeah.
assessors don't have an accurate map?
Evidently not.
An accurate map of
Are
what?
they charge, how do they assess property if they have no idea what, if they're incorrect? And does Jay know?
The,
what talking about
the
this?
assessor's office has provided Merrimack Valley with all of their information.
Yeah, that's where they get it from, all those lots.
Yeah, but that's what their information is, right?
Yeah.
What's on what we're looking at there is what the
Right, all the
assessors-
lot lines.
Right,
shown.
I think
when you
the
research
primary
it, you're
issue
gonna find out
is
that
where
there's
the
a
zoning
reason
lines
why-
are, not where the property boundaries are. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think it's a problem
You're gonna find
until
property
somebody
there
has a
that-
problem.
That should be
And I don't think we should deal with it until somebody has a problem.
noticed.
Yeah,
And it
I
had
really don't
probably
either.
We don't
I'll
wanna
bet
go,
you even
we don't
find
wanna
property never
have a
assessed.
solution looking for a problem.
But we have one rate, excuse me, one
Let me
rate of
just count
property,
something here,
so
give me a second, guys.
it wouldn't matter that much.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3,
Count the abutters too.
4, 5. I'm not counting butters, I'm just counting parcels.
Okay.
6, 7,
6,
8.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14.
You mentioned the open space plan, but isn't there a consultant
15,
doing that?
16, there's 17 parcels that, 17, 18,
The consultant is preparing the
19 parcels.
plan, the written plan.
There's
But
19 parcels.
it's our responsibility to
I have
provide them
no
with
doubt in my
accurate
mind there's
information
more than that.
about
That the
chapter 61s,
split
I'm not
lot
saying
and
that-
grovel.
any
No,
changes
there are
since
more
the
here.
last
Yeah,
map in
absolutely.
terms of
That's what
state
they
ownership,
flagged,
town-owned land,
19. There's 19
conservation
lots
restrictions.
is
and
what
all
they've
that.
asked
At
him to
least.
do some work
At
on.
least. Well,
So
I,
why,
I only wish that there was a little bit of documentation from Merrimack Valley, that, a little bit of narrative that accompanied this.
Do we know,
yeah, what,
I'm sorry for interrupting, but do we know what those lots are? Is there an overlay to this that gives the number of the lots?
The number of parcels in town,
No. This parcel has a lot number, correct?
Yeah.
This parcel has a lot number.
yeah,
correct?
no, I don't know what lot
Is
numbers.
there an overlay that will give us that information, or do you have to go find out which one is which?
No, I can find out, I don't have an access to it here
Yes,
though, but I
yeah.
can
But
easily
you do have
find.
access to
Yeah,
it. Okay.
and through my map.
So you missed that one.
Yeah, I just wanna
The
make sure you don't have to
pictometry.
go to square one to find
No,
out.
What's the deadline for this grant?
Well, Merrimack Valley got the grant.
For 1 year? Is that it? We have to have it done, is there a limit on?
Yeah, what are
Is there a
the,
time
do we
frame
have
on it?
details of the grant or what they are trying to do? There's no narrative, maybe it would be more convincing for
ask-
the board if we had some documentation from Merrimack Valley. Maybe.
Mr.
At this point right now, I mean, I would hope that the board would wanna not shut the door on this, because
Oh, wait a minute. this
I'd
is
like to
everyone
work with
there.
Merrimack Valley as much as possible, and find out a little bit more about what the initiative behind this is. There may be more to this than we
If I may,
are
Mr. Chairman,
finding right now. Yeah.
There's,
I would ask my colleague, Mr. Howard, who
Mhm.
is the moving party here.
Mhm. Yeah, he made the motion and you
If he
seconded
would-
it.
might consider withdrawing the motion at this time, pending
more information?
more information.
Okay.
Let the record show that Mr. Howard withdraws his motion. And, it sounds to me like the board wants to hear a little bit more. Maybe not immediately, but when you can get some information together,
Yeah.
we can find a little bit more, get a little more documentation and.
Well, I think if we approve such, that it should have limitations.
Yeah, well, let's find out a little bit more
Find out
because,
exactly what they're looking for.
yeah, let's find out what, isn't it Gerard Witten? That's the, GIS, coordinator?
yeah, yeah.
There's a name that I've heard a lot.
I think we have enough signatures.
I'm gonna need some more signatures.
Why?
Mullins Farms.
Oh, not mine. Mullins Forms,
You wanna give him,
planning board members, Mullins Forms.
Those are Chris's,
Mr. Riches,
these are Tim's.
Mr. Howard's. Okay, watch those DVDs, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a DVD in your packet, Tim.
Yeah, I
Because
watched it.
there's a public hearing on the solar and wind bylaw. And what was the other one for you?
No, this is Lisa Lane in Park and Rec. I was here for Park and Rec. I
It's been crossed out Park and Rec and put
I
in.
missed,
solar.
Right
I
in
missed,
when you-
the,
right
I
in
missed
when
the
you
Lisa
did.
Lane one.
And were
which
you
I
here-
did watch the DVD on.
Okay. And were you here for the solar and wind?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was just one, then that was my mistake.
Did I hear a motion from someone to adjourn? Couldn't quite hear
I have
where.
a question here, Mr. Chairman. Even though I wasn't here, I did watch it on TV. Where is that? Because I had, was fortunate enough to, I've hurt myself and got a concussion, so I was nursing a pretty bad headache.
That would be video, wouldn't it?
I watched the video. Did someone make a motion?
So
I move that we adjourn.
I beat him.
All right.
You went, I made the motion.
By Bob
And
to
if you don't
adjourn.
accept it, I second.
I'll second it.
Seconded
We'll
by
second
Chris.
each other's.
Fight over it.
All in favor of
Fight over it on
adjourning
the way out.
at 9:09, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Totally.
Good night, everybody, and
Doesn't-
see you again
Doesn't
on
Tilly have to
the
sign this as being the clerk?
28th of October, 73rd